Chapter 1. A Small Dream Begins. I still remember the day when I decided to learn English. It was a quiet evening. I was sitting alone in my small room. The window was open. A soft wind was coming inside. On my table there was an old English book. The cover was simple. The pages were a little torn. I looked at the book for a long time. I felt nervous. I felt confused. I did not know where to start. The words looked difficult. The sentences looked long. But deep inside my heart, I had a strong desire. I wanted to learn English. I wanted to change my life. At that time, my life felt limited. I could not understand English movies. When I watched interviews of successful people, I could not follow their words. I saw confident speakers like Oprah Winfrey speaking clearly and powerfully. I listened to business leaders like Elon Musk sharing big ideas in simple English. I admired them. I thought they were lucky. I thought they were special. But then I asked myself an important question. Are they special, or did they work hard to become better? That question opened my mind. I realized that English is not magic. It is a skill, and every skill can be learned with practice. That day, I made a small promise to myself. I promised that I would study English every day. Even if I studied for only 15 minutes, I would not stop. It was a small promise, but it was powerful. In the beginning, everything felt difficult. I started with the alphabet. I revised basic grammar. I learned simple words like happy, sad, friend, and family. I wrote them in a notebook. I repeated them many times. Sometimes I forgot the meaning the next day. I felt disappointed. But I did not quit. I reminded myself that forgetting is normal. Learning takes time. I also started listening to simple English conversations. I did not understand everything. Sometimes I understood only 2 or 3 words in a full sentence, but those small words made me happy. They gave me hope. Slowly, I began to understand more. I realized that listening is very important. It trains the brain. It improves pronunciation. It builds confidence. Every night I practice speaking in front of a mirror. At first, I felt shy. I could not look at myself while speaking. My voice was low. My sentences were broken. I made many grammar mistakes, but I continued. I spoke about my day. I described my room. I talked about my dreams. These were simple topics, but they helped me speak without fear. There were people who did not take my dreams seriously. Some said, "Why are you learning English? It is too hard." Some said, "You are too late." Their words hurt me, but their doubts also gave me strength. I wanted to prove that I could do it. I wanted to prove it to myself more than anyone else. I created a daily routine of focusing. In the morning, I read one small paragraph. In the afternoon, I learned 5 new words. In the evening, I listened to a short English audio. At night, I wrote 5 sentences about my day. This routine was simple, but it was consistent, and consistency changed everything. After a few weeks, I noticed a small improvement. I could introduce myself in English. I could say, My name is. I am learning English. I want to improve my skills. These were simple sentences, but they felt like a big achievement. For the first time, I felt proud of myself. English slowly changed my thinking. I became more patient. I became more disciplined. I learned to accept mistakes. I learned that growth is slow but steady. Every new word was like a small light in my mind. Every correct sentence gave me confidence. One day, I read a short story in English without using a dictionary. It was a simple story, but for me it was a big success. I smiled. I felt strong. I realized that I was no longer the same person who was afraid of English. I was changing. Chapter 1 of my journey was not about becoming fluent. It was not about speaking perfectly. It was about starting. It was about believing that I could learn. It was about taking small steps every day. That small decision to open an old book became the first step toward a new life. And that small dream, which once felt impossible, was slowly becoming real. Chapter 2 Facing Fear and Building Confidence. After I completed the first stage of my journey, I felt stronger. But the road was still long. I knew basic words. I could make simple sentences. Yet I was still afraid to speak in front of other people. Speaking alone in my room was easy. Speaking in public was different. My heart would beat fast. My hands would shake. My mind would forget everything. Fear was still inside me. One day, I decided to challenge myself. I joined an online English speaking group. The first day was very difficult. People from different cities were there. Some spoke very fast. Some used new vocabulary. I felt small again. I wanted to leave the meeting, but I stayed. I listened carefully. I told myself that I was here to learn, not to compete. When it was my turn to speak, my voice was not steady. I introduced myself in short sentences. I said, "Hello, my name is Abid. I am learning English. I want to improve." It was simple. It was not perfect. But I spoke. After I finished, one person said, "Good job. Keep practicing." That small encouragement gave me big confidence. I realized that most people do not laugh at beginners. They respect effort. From that day, I started speaking more. I did not wait to feel ready. I understood something important. Confidence does not come before action. Confidence comes after action. Every time I spoke, my fear became smaller. Every time I made a mistake, I learned something new. I also started improving my pronunciation. I listened to simple speeches and repeated them. I watched interviews of successful people. I listened to speakers like Barack Obama. I liked his calm and clear speaking style. I also listened to motivational talks by Tony Robbins. I did not understand every word, but I focused on their tone, rhythm, and confidence. I practiced speaking slowly and clearly, like them. English began to change my daily habits. I changed my phone language to English. I started thinking in English. When I walked outside, I described things in my mind. I would think, the sky is blue. The road is busy. The weather is nice. These small mental exercises helped me a lot. They trained my brain to use English naturally. There were still difficult days. Sometimes I felt tired. Sometimes I felt stuck. I would study the same grammar rule again and again. I would forget new words quickly. But instead of quitting, I changed my method. I used flashcards. I wrote short stories. I spoke with friends who were also learning. Learning became more interesting. Slowly, people around me noticed a difference. My sentences became clearer. My pronunciation improved. I was no longer silent in group discussions. I started sharing my opinions. I felt respected. That respect made me stronger. The biggest change was inside my mind. Before learning English, I often doubted myself. I believed that I was not capable. But now, I saw proof of my growth. If I could learn a new language step by step, I could achieve other goals too. English was teaching me discipline. It was teaching me patience. It was teaching me courage. I also learned that mistakes are powerful teachers. When someone corrected me, I did not feel embarrassed anymore. I felt thankful. Correction helped me grow. I stopped aiming for perfect English. Instead, I aimed for clear communication. I understood that communication is more important than perfection. By the end of this chapter of my journey, I was not fluent yet, but I was confident. I was brave enough to speak. I was strong enough to continue. English was no longer my fear. It was becoming my friend, Anglais, and with this new confidence, I was ready to face bigger opportunities in life. Chapter 3: New Opportunities and Bigger Dreams. As my confidence grew, my world slowly became bigger. English was no longer just a subject that I studied every day. It became a tool in my hands. It became a bridge that connected me to new opportunities. I started to see real changes in my life. One day I saw a job advertisement online. The job required basic English communication skills. Before, I would not even think about applying. I would tell myself, this is not for me. But now I felt different. I prepared my CV in English. I practiced common interview questions. I stood in front of the mirror and answered questions again and again. I kept my sentences simple and clear. When the interview day came, I felt nervous, but ready. The interviewer asked me questions in English. I listened carefully. I answered slowly. I did not use difficult words. I spoke with confidence. I smiled. I maintained eye contact. Even when I did not understand one question clearly, I politely asked, "Can you please repeat that?" That moment showed me how much I had grown. Before, I would stay silent. Now I was communicating. A few days later, I received good news. I got the job. I felt proud. I felt thankful. English had opened this door for me. It was not only about language. It was about courage and preparation. Now, that job changed my financial situation. It improved my lifestyle. It also improved my self-respect. At work, I had to read emails in English. I had to attend meetings. I had to talk to clients. In the beginning, it was challenging, but every day became practice. My vocabulary improved. My listening skills improved. My confidence improved. I started writing professional emails. I learned how to express ideas clearly and politely. English also connected me to the world of knowledge. I began watching educational videos online. I started reading articles and blogs. I discovered online learning platforms like Coursera and Udemy. Many useful courses were in English. I could now understand them. I learned new skills. I improved my professional abilities. English gave me access to global education. I also made international friends through social media and language exchange platforms. We talked about culture, food, traditions, and goals. I realized that people from different countries have similar dreams. We all want success. We all want happiness. English helped me build these connections. It removed borders between us. Reading English books became my new habit. I read simple self-help books and short stories. Each book taught me something valuable. Some books taught me about discipline. Some taught me about mindset. I learned that success is not about talent alone. It is about daily effort. English gave me the power to understand these lessons directly. My dreams started growing bigger. I no longer wanted only a better job. I wanted personal growth. I wanted to travel. I wanted to speak confidently on a stage one day. I wanted to help other learners who were afraid of English, just like I was before. I wanted to show them that change is possible. When I looked back at my old self, I saw a shy person who was afraid of speaking. Now I saw a stronger version of myself. I was not perfect. I was still learning, but I was moving forward. English did not only improve my language skills, it improved my mindset. It improved my opportunities. It improved my dreams. Chapter 3 of my journey taught me an important lesson. When you learn a new skill, you do not only gain knowledge. You gain new doors. You gain new chances. You gain new confidence. English was no longer just changing my daily routine. It was shaping my future. And for the first time in my life, I felt truly ready for bigger dreams and greater success. Chapter 4: A Life Transformed. When I look at my journey now, I feel deep gratitude. English did not change my life in one big moment. It changed my life in small, daily steps. Each word I learned was a small victory. Each sentence I spoke was a small success. Over time, those small victories created a big transformation. Today, English is part of my daily life. I read in English every morning. I watch educational videos in English. I write my goals in English. I even think in English most of the time. This habit has trained my mind to stay active and organized. My thoughts feel clearer. My ideas feel stronger. Language shaped my thinking, and my thinking shaped my actions. One of the biggest changes is my confidence. Before learning English, I often stayed silent in group discussions. I was afraid of being judged. I was afraid of making mistakes. Now, I understand that mistakes are natural. They are part of growth. When I speak, I focus on sharing my message, not on being perfect. This mindset has improved not only my English but also my personality. English also helped me become more independent, but I no longer wait for translations. I can search for information by myself. I can read global news. I can understand international trends. I feel connected to the world. I feel informed. This connection has made me more aware and more open-minded. Through English, I discovered inspiring thinkers and leaders. I read about the ideas of Stephen Covey and his lessons on habits and discipline. I learned about the mindset concepts shared by Carol Dweck. Their simple but powerful ideas helped me understand that growth is a process. A person can improve with effort and patience. These lessons influenced my daily life. They encouraged me to keep learning. Another important change is my communication skill. English taught me how to express my ideas clearly. It taught me how to listen carefully. Good communication is not only about speaking. It is also about understanding others. Because of this, my relationships improved. I became more respectful and more confident in conversations. I also started helping other learners. When someone tells me, I am afraid to speak English, I smile. I tell them my story. I tell them how I once felt shy and confused. I tell them how I practiced in front of a mirror. I tell them how I made mistakes and learned from them. When they see my progress, they feel motivated. Helping others gives me great happiness. It reminds me how far I have come. English changed my career, but more importantly, it changed my mindset. I now believe in continuous learning. I believe that skills can be developed. I believe that background does not decide the future. Effort decides the future. Sometimes I sit quietly and remember the day I opened that old English book for the first time. I remember my fear. I remember my doubt. I remember that small dream has grown into a strong reality. It shaped my character. It shaped my goals. It shaped my confidence. My journey with English is not finished. Learning never ends. Every day, there are new words, new expressions, and new ideas to discover. But now I am not afraid of challenges. I welcome them. I know that growth takes time. I know that progress is slow but powerful. English changed my life because it changed me from the inside. It turned my fear into courage. It turned my silence into voice. It turned my doubt into belief. And the most beautiful lesson I learned is this: when you decide to grow, nothing can stop you. If I can change my life through English, anyone can. The key is simple. Start small. Stay consistent. Believe in yourself